Howdy, folks. This is Damion Turner with Shades of Agriculture coming to you with Big Joe Collard. My bad. Big Joe Tutt, a.k.a. Big Joe Collard. I've known this gentleman for, I guess, a few years now. We kind of Facebook friends and we kind of conversate about a lot of things ag-related. And I feel like this gentleman would be a good person to have on the show and kind of give y'all some insight of this man's in depth of his knowledge he has in finance, agriculture. This cat can just like that senior hero Pulp Fiction, Sam Jackson said, check out the big brain on Brad. This is how I feel about Mr. Joe here. Like I call him if I have issues with my garden. When I get on the phone with him, this man breaks down a financial anything, financial agriculture, financial whatever. So this man got the brain, and I just definitely want to have him on the show, and so he can give you all a little bit of knowledge about his background and things like that. So what's going on, big dog? How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good deal. Thanks for being on the show, man. So let's jump right into it, man. So tell me a little about your background, brother.
My background mainly started out with the beef side of the operation, being in a cow-calf operation, wanting to go from a cow-calf to looking at the seed stock and crossing different breeds. But as time went by, I realized it wasn't just about me, and the numbers kicked in. And so I just learned from my professor early on that numbers don't lie, people do.
I got you.
And so when you look at agriculture and how you get started and how you work in it, one of the big things for me was just about people eating. And if you've ever been hungry yourself or starved or whatever the case may be, it gets to you. And so that's how I got started, and it just grew from there, and seeing people eat was one of the big things for me. So
I got you. So I guess we had a conversation maybe a couple of weeks ago about your educational background. So go ahead, hit us up with that and give us a little insight.
Technically, I'm 13 hours short of a chemical engineering degree. I had originally applied to go to medical school. When I quit playing football and got serious, my grades went up. But later on, to be honest, my mother wanted the doctor.
I got you. Hey.
I wanted business. And so I took finance because I didn't know what to major in. After I changed my major, took accounting class, fell in love with it. And from there, it just took off, and looking at how the numbers affect you. The key thing about the educational part about it is having mentors like I do, who are old school farmers.
Right.
They taught me so much that you can't find in a book.
Exactly. In the field knowledge. Yeah.
And so you can have a degree or a master's degree in agronomy, soil science, but the key thing about agriculture is you have to be out there getting your hands dirty.
Exactly.
And then you come back, and then the education, you can work it in and flow, and looking at things such as growth time, shelf life, and it just went from there.
I got you. Well, no, I just want you to hit on that chemical engineer thing that we talked about. so when you told me that, I was like, what?
One of the things where it was fun, but to be honest, I just woke up one day. I got tired of having 2 shots of Hennessy and 3 cigarettes to start my day because I was just so stressed with trying to make everybody happy.
Okay.
And then I wanted business, but it wasn't until my mom passed away that it really started kicking in, where she got me started on horses when I left the South, moved up to the Northwest and Washington State. And first it was the cattle. Well, it was the horses to help me heal. And then the cattle was for the equine sports. One thing led to another. I was trying to find a cheaper way to get the cattle to work on my horse. And then it went from horses to the cattle to the cattle ranch. And
now you're forming with the Collards, huh?
And well, the row crops came because it's one of those things where you pray to God for an opening or a sign, and it increases your cash flow.
Right.
Most folks don't understand that in agriculture, whether it's livestock, row crops for produce or vegetables, and then row crops for commodities, things that can be dried and stored, your wheat, your corn, the milo, sorghum versus your collards, mustards, watermelons, cucumbers, squash. So it was just a way to bring in quicker cash.
Gotcha.
Then,
I guess expand that pocketbook. I got you. Definitely understand that, brother. So so you always talk about what got you started, a little about your background, educational background. So, being a man of agriculture like you are, so what do you feel like what's your favorite part of being in agriculture?
I think the most favorite part about it is I thought was seeing your calf crop, but now it's having people come back and tell you, how great your food tasted, especially
Right.
when they've been buying food from a grocery store, and they come out, oh man, your greens were so delicious, they were so fresh, and I'm like sitting there going like, what? Okay. But then when you go and you buy the food yourself, you learn to cook it yourself, and you taste the difference between buying in the grocery store versus buying from someone who just cut it in the field. You taste the difference because you're not using those chemicals.
You feel organic. You can taste the organicness, is what they call it, I guess, huh?
Well, when I met a person from a farmer's market, and one of the big things was, if you're not certified, you can't call yourself organic, or you shouldn't.
Gotcha.
And so their thing was to say that you're all natural. We've always said all natural. I just refuse to pay for certification. To me, it's like you're paying to say, I don't use chemicals.
Right.
And so I just refuse it.
It makes sense. If you can say all natural, I think that sounds better anyway, to be honest with you. Just my personal opinion. All natural sounds better than organic, but,
And people don't understand that sometimes when you start reading the directives, it says chemical free or best efforts. So sometimes people will say organic, but it's not truly organic.
Oh, wow.
It's their best effort.
The best effort to be organic?
It's their best effort. And when you hear the big farmers say, well, I still spray a little bit of this and this and this, I'm like, well, how are you organic if you're using no sprays?
Okay,
but if you look at the requirements, it says best efforts.
What? Wait. Wait. So what do you mean best efforts? Is there like a what? Like, so you can still use chemicals to a certain extent?
To a certain extent, there are people who are still using it. I had one lady ask me, "Are you certified?" I'm like, "No, I'm not certified, but I guarantee you, you can take my collards, my mustards, my watermelons, take them to a lab, and test them for any chemical residual. You're not going to find it. You're not."
Wow.
The closest thing we use is the synthetic fertilizer. That's it.
Well, that's crazy, man. The best effort,
That's one of the things that I said. You can be truthful now, but it's one of those where don't open the floodgates.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna do some research on that. That best efforts, huh? Okay. Gotcha. All right. So with that being said, so what would be your least favorite part of what you do? I don't want to get you in trouble, nothing like that. But so as a man in agriculture, like, what can I say, what bothers you, or what is your least favorite part of what you do, or something you want to fix?
I guess the least favorite part of it is when you go sell your product, and when it rains, it washes off the organic spray to keep the cabbage loopers or the caterpillars from eating holes in your greens. When you get someone that says, "Oh, how much?" "Oh, that's high." And they don't understand what you go through in terms of planting your crops, taking care of your crops. And the biggest in this industry is labor.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that bothers me. They just don't know what you go through to get that crop and make it look pretty.
Right.
And because when I got started 2-3 years ago and I had the money, I was offering $30 an hour and couldn't hire anybody.
Wow. Was it because it was like manual labor, or was it just what was it?
It's that field work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's that stigma. Agriculture has a stigma in the Black community, and there are those who say they love fresh food and they love fresh fruit, but they don't want to do any field work.
They don't put that work in, man. They don't want to put that work in.
You know, my boss, we were joking one day. I said, and I wish I had an extra 600-700 acres. But what would you do with it? I said, man, I'd grow some cotton. She's like, what? Oh no, Joe, I said, no, you're looking at it wrong. I said, I'd be looking at cotton. I'd be looking at peanuts, some of the different grains. I met a guy at an NRCS meeting from the Panhandle. Guy uses turnips to help his cotton grow. Was blowing me away how the roots of the cotton plant would wrap around the turnip for nutrition.
Wow.
And it was cutting down the amount of synthetic fertilizers and additives that he had to add to his crop by planting turnips, coming in, getting so much growth, and planting the cotton right next to the turnip green.
Really?
Blew me away. I was like, wow.
That's
I was
something I never heard before.
Up on the cotton seed, and you know, the cheaper way to buy it for cattle food. And I said, I'm like, what? Turnip greens? I'm like, but where's the greens at? You go out there, he dug one up, took a cotton plant, pulled it up. You can see the roots wrapped around the turnip.
Wrapped around it. Huh. Man, people are innovative nowadays, man. That's crazy. I didn't even think about something like that. That's pretty cool, man. So moving right along. So as I guess we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty part of it. So shades of agriculture, we're gonna have to talk about being an African-American male, knowledgeable male in the agricultural field. So how do you feel? Does it affect you in a bad way, a good way, or are you just indifferent about it, or you know, talk to me about that?
I think it still is an anomaly because I've had professional friends who were in the financial services, and they're like, "Are you still working as an accountant? You're a rancher and a farmer?" So there's a disconnect from the history aspect of it, but there's still the current issues today where you're still going to face some discrimination. You'll ask certain questions for certain services, and they'll tell you something completely different from the truth. And then once you find out, you're like, hey, well, why would he tell me that? And you start realizing that there's no other reason, simply because they either have discriminatory attitude, they don't want to see you succeed. So it still plays a part. And that's an issue that you have to learn to adjust to. I learned it in the military, in a combat job, thinking, why would a person do that? Because you're in combat next to each other, but they still exist.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I definitely understand that. So as going into that a little bit deeper, you know, is there any incidents that besides the one you said, you know, the gentleman didn't want you to succeed or anything like that? Is there any other incidents that you can, like, you know, give examples?
I know there was one issue where I asked for a particular service, and I had called, and oh no, you need to have 2 years of irrigation history. And I'm like thinking to myself, if I'm planting crops, I'm watering them, that's irrigation.
Of course, yeah.
But then you call another office, talk to a different individual, you make up a name to see if this person telling you the truth. And then they throw a little curveball. But did you tell them that you're planting irrigated crops? I'm like, oh, okay. Now we're playing word games.
Now you play it, yeah.
Wow. And so when I finally had a guy come out, we happened to walk through a field. He saw the old rotten watermelons that were there, and he saw the 2 sprinklers, and he was like, yeah, you're irrigated. I'm like, I told you we were irrigated.
I told you that.
You know, but it's one of those things where if you're going to let what people say or do discourage you, then you're definitely in the wrong field.
Exactly. Oh man, that's you hit home with that one, brother. You definitely hit home with that one. Totally agree with that one. So with that being said, just lead us right to that next question, brother. So what advice would you give, a person going in agriculture? What advice would you give them at this point in time?
I would tell them to try to experience a place that has all aspects of agriculture, both livestock and farming, whether it's row crops for vegetables, row crops for commodities, and also look at business. As I heard one of your podcasts, the greatest thing I loved about that was we got a young lady who I know her parents, and they run a restaurant. We got her an intern in accounting at Cargill.
Okay, that's nice. Okay.
And her parents were like, huh, what? I said, yeah, you still need business.
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
So I would tell people to look at agriculture as not just food and fiber, how you feed the community, how you clothe the community, but also at the business aspect of it. You still need finance, you still need marketing, you still need engineering for equipment. One of the greatest things working with my ranch manager, I wanted to be safe and load one bale. He got in front of me, turn around, pick up another. I'm like, what are you doing? He says, pick up another bale. He said, we don't waste diesel around here.
Hey, mate, I hear you.
And so it's different going from a 50 horse to 110 horse tractor.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. Now we don't waste money. I don't care if it's the lick tubs, the mineral, the cube, the hay. I won't say a person's name, but in less than 60 seconds, they tried to tell me to run the operation one way.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke it down using the cost initiative. And there was a $90,000 difference.
Wow.
So don't just assume that agriculture is strictly about food and fiber, growing plants, or livestock. There's also the business aspect of it.
Yep, serious business part of it. Yep, you're totally right, brother. You gotta finance those crops to make them work. So you gotta buy that diesel, like you said. So looking back, is there anything you've done differently? Or you just everything was smooth how you wanted to be? Is there something you maybe have done differently?
I think I would have. Well, everyone that comes out to my place that I teach about farming or ranching, whether they want to do cattle, goats, or just straight row crops, I teach them to look at it from a business perspective. 2 years operating reserves, 1 year operating reserve for the upcoming year. So basically, 3 years operating reserves, constantly always justifying, as what they call in accounting, zero-based budgeting. Justify everything that you do. You've got to have that business background. And I think the big thing that people need to understand is that when you're in agriculture, whether you're a farmer or a rancher dealing with livestock or row crops, you're always paying retail, but the price you receive for your crops is always less than wholesale. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Man, you're hitting some good stuff here, brother. I mean, we're gonna have to have another podcast after this, go dig deeper into what you're talking about here. So as of now, you said you teach people and things like that. And you teach me on the phone calls, every time we talk and things like that. So anything coming up in the future, that you want to talk about? Any plans? Any, maybe classes or whatever you're doing?
I think right now we're getting ready to transition. Probably the next couple of years or so, maybe 3. We're currently looking for a location where we can put a building in place, wanting to transition from field farming to a hydroponics / aquaponic operation.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Just to increase the quantity, because an example, we can produce approximately 3,000 to 4,000 head of collards on an acre. With aquaponics, we can probably do 10 times the amount.
On an acre?
On an acre of aquaponics, you can probably create the equivalent of 10 acres in the field.
Wow.
That plus you take away having to use organic sprays, being concerned about the cabbage loopers, the cabbage worms, aphids, the quality of the product. You can allow the product to continue with its life, pull it out, wrap the root around it, ship it. If they're not ready to cook it or use it, they can drop it right back in some water like a potato, like the little high school, junior high experiment.
Yeah.
So,
keep it growing. Yeah.
We're looking at that. I've got a couple of guys that help harvest. One of them just got his citizenship. So our next move is hopefully to transition to aquaponics and then start delivering to each of the major cities in the state, to restaurants as well as retail.
Big dream, brother. That's good stuff, man. I definitely keep me posted on that. Like I said, I think we'll have to go dig deeper in some of this stuff. We'll have to have another podcast here soon, man. So,
well, yeah, because once you realize two of the largest farms, I think one is Saul's Farms in South Carolina. They're somewhere between 400 and 600 acres of collards. They ship all up and down the East Coast, Eastern Seaboard. The other larger farm that we know of to date is Baker Farms, I believe in Norcross or Norwest Georgia. And I think they're growing 3,500 acres of collards alone.
Wow.
And then you throw in the fact that they have two other farms in Michigan and Ohio because of the summer heat in the South. Because I spoke with the ag engineer. In order to grow 1 acre of collards in the Texas heat, it would require 600,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
Because
and how much is it up there? How much is it up north?
Well, they're going to average summer of what, 70 to maybe 80, 85 degrees. So they can grow the same amount, if not more, up there during the summer that they can grow in the fall and early spring in the South.
With half the amount of water you got there in Texas.
Half the amount of water. And then you look at, when I had looked at a cedar, the big high dollar cedars, the guy was like, well, why do you want to spread your collards so far apart? Well, I use a larger variety than the Georgia collard. He says, well, the sales rep for Baker Farms, they spread their seeds maybe 2 to 3 centimeters apart. So they plant their collards the way I plant my mustards.
Wow. So this right on top of each other.
I don't drop one seed every square foot like my mentor taught me. With that little hand seeder, I leave all the holes uncovered. So when they start sprouting, look at a square foot, you might see maybe 20 to 40 little sprouts. Because my goal is, we believe in giving you more for your money. So when you look at one of our bunches, it's going to be maybe half the size of a football.
Wow. Golly.
Our city councilman here in Fort Worth, she's like, well, I talked to Deborah. So you can eat for like 2 or 3 days off of one of your bunches.
Goodness
and
gracious.
for $5, I'm like, yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because in the grocery store, they're selling the turnip 75 to $1 per pound. And the greens, $1.20, $1.25 for a 5-6 leaf bunch.
Wow. So you just doubling that with yours?
Double it. I think my bunches have a minimum 30 to 35 leaves in a bunch.
Yeah, you can feed. Oh, yeah. Oh, you tripling, quadrupling pretty much.
Yeah, so I let them see the front where it looks all fluffy to use the curly mustards, but you take away, use the broadleaf mustard. I turn it over so they can see all the stems and the leaves. And then one lady wanted to see for herself, so I took the rubber band off and I counted them, 35 leaves.
Wow.
And she was like, what?
And what's the bunches you said at the grocery store usually?
They're about 5-6 leaves a bunch.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're frozen too. They're sitting in the back. They have to.
Yeah. So yours is straight off the farm, but quadruple the amount. I got you. That makes sense, brother. All right. So so with that being said, man, so we talked about where can people find you? I mean, I know you have a good following on Facebook and Instagram. You know, give me your I guess your names and usernames and all that stuff.
On Facebook, we're Joe Collards. Sometimes we'll change between the different breeds of cattle to expose people to the cattle as well. Sometimes we'll show pictures of our collards. Sometimes we'll show pictures of a watermelon. We do a lot of research. I work with a county agent down in South Texas where the bulk of your large watermelon farms are. On Instagram, we're Joe Collards.
Okay.
And it's Joe _Collards, COLLARDS. And if you want to send us an email, it's Joe Tutt, JOETUTT @hotmail.com.
Good deal. Well, brother, man, I sure appreciate your time, man. We kind of cutting it closer to a little 30 to 45 minutes. But like I said, I think we need to have another conversation here real soon about what you got going on and the teaching and education that you can provide everybody, man. But like I said, brother, thanks for your time.
I've got my grandnephew out there with me.
Oh, yeah. So everybody's, the whole family.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
He shocked me this weekend. When we were leaving, he's been hounding me about that cowboy hat for about a year now. And he turned around to the sales guy and said, I'm going to feed cattle next weekend with my Uncle Joe.
Okay.
When I finish college, I'm going to be a cowboy with my Uncle Joe. And I was like, whoa.
That's what I'm talking about.
It goes back to what my aunt said. They're a little tape recorder, and they're recording everything you say or do.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to hate me spitting in the bathroom sink. Spit in the toilet, that's disgusting. So I went in the bathroom one time and did it, and I flushed the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I come out, you didn't wash your hands, Uncle Joe. I'm like, I didn't use the bathroom. That's when it hit me. They are paying attention to everything you say or do.
Right. You're right. They're watching and mimicking and paying attention. You're right, brother.
They wouldn't eat their greens before, and my niece was shocked that they're eating them now.
They must Uncle Joe. So Uncle Joe eat them?
The 15-year-old, he rides in ropes, and so I'm always telling him, if you rope my calves, I'm gonna choke you. And he screamed bloody murder when I first put him on a horse.
Really? Oh, man. We'll see. Well, I'm glad to see you keeping the family, brother. But like I said, we're reading that time limit. And so, like I said, I appreciate your time, man. And like I said, we're going to have to get into another conversation here with a deeper conversation, another podcast here soon, man. But once again, brother, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate what you do. I know you're really busy, and I thank you for putting time in your schedule to talk to me and be on the podcast. And, that's going to be it for tonight, man. But like I said, we'll have a conversation soon, brother. Like I said, I appreciate it very much. And I will get with you soon, man.
All right. Appreciate it. We'll see you. Take care.
All right, have a good one, man. You take care.
See ya. All right, you too.